everybody and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be starting a brand new reading vlog and I'm really excited to start this one because these are some books that I have just gotten actually. I feel like when I do a reading vlog I try to read books that I've had for a really long time, but I have recently acquired many new and very appealing and interesting young adult mystery thrillers and horror books. So I'm so excited. I'm so excited, and instead of just like putting them on my shelves and seeing them again in a year and being like, oh, this was really interesting when I bought it, we're gonna read them now. So the books that are gonna be in this vlog are, there's definitely one horror mystery, there's a thriller mystery, and I'm not sure what the last one is. It's my understanding that it's a thriller, but I don't know. That one's a little more ambiguous because I feel like I've heard it talked about a little bit as a horror, but the synopsis seems more thrillery. I don't know though, so I'm very interested to see what that one is. And this is the little stack. So we are going to be reading This Delicious Death. This is the same author as My Dearest Darkest. We are going to be reading Lying in the Deep by Diana Urban. I have read a Diana Urban before and I did like the ending, so I'm very interested to see what's happening in this one. And then this is The Lake House. This is the one that I'm like most nervous about just because I don't know the author. I don't really understand like what type of genre this is. Oh my gosh, and the cover is so pretty. I love it. It's so pretty. So quickly talking about each book, This Delicious Death, like I said, is the same author as My Dearest Darkest. I really don't know that much about it because I went into My Dearest Darkest pretty blind, and I kind of want to do the same about this. All I know is this has to do with organs, and that's pretty much it. And it looks from the cover like they're transporting organs, so I don't know. This is kind of giving me like, oh, and it says it's a girl eat girl world, so it's kind of making me think cannibalism, etc. But I don't know, and I want to go into it blind like that. And this will be the first one that I'm reading. Then we have Lying in the Deep. This one I don't know which one I'm most excited about, but I love the premise of this one. I do know that this one is taking place on, it's like a, what is it, semester? We have that here. I don't know what they call it in this, but it's going to be taking place on basically a cruise ship, and it's going to be locked mystery murder kind of thing going on. So I'm really excited to see what's happening in this one because I loved locked room mystery things. And Diana Urban wrote a book, like her first book that I read. The ending was so good, so I'm really curious if her writing's gotten a little better, and then mix that with a really good twist ending. This could be like a 4 or 5 star. And then, like I said, we have The Lake House. This is the one that I don't know if it's a horror or a thriller. I guess you can be both technically, but it's got like this supernatural potential vibe. I don't know, because part of it just sounds like it's gonna be a survival thriller kind of thing going on where they're stuck on this lake, because all I know is they're going to a lake house, and then I think they get basically stuck there because I think the lake house is burned down. Yeah, the lake house has been burned down and there's no way to get back off the island, so they're trying to figure out what's going on, who did it, was it accidental, etc. So to me it sounds like mystery thriller and like something's chasing them. So, but then there's like this little hint of paranormal that I'm like, is it a horror? Is it like paranormal thriller? Could be that. So I don't know. This is like the one I know the least about. So I'm very excited. But like I said, we will be starting with This Delicious Death, and I'm very excited to get into it. So I'm gonna literally start reading immediately. So kind of starting off this vlog, I really want to read some cool thriller and horror books for Escape the Readathon, and I'm hoping the ones that I like picked out are gonna match the prompts, but that kind of doesn't matter at the same time because you get like one prompt, and then when the prompt is over, you go and like mood read. So I feel like it'll be fine because I feel like our first door is going to be open relatively soon because I feel like we got it really fast. I am on the Ghost Tour team because I'm a big fan of Riveting Reads, and they are one of the hosts of that team. And Ghost Tours is like what I would do out of all of them. Like I definitely wouldn't party in a haunted house. I definitely wouldn't be like a tourist in a haunting house, like a vacationer. I definitely wouldn't be doing that. And I would not be like cool enough to actually be like ghost hunting. No, the film crew, no. So Ghost Tour is like kind of the best one that fits, even though in reality I probably never would do that either. I stay far away from haunted things as possible, okay? But I really want to read some really cool horror thrillers, and I got a few. So I definitely started with This Delicious Death, and I don't know how I feel about it. Also, I'm sorry about the lighting in here. I'm like mood lighting with my like one lamp instead of my overhead. So it looks a little funky. It's a lot brighter in reality. But this one is by the same author as My Dearest Darkest, which I found really interesting. It's weird, but I love the writing. So I was like, okay, instead of getting this from the library, I just bought it because I wanted to support the author because I liked a previous book. That's kind of my rule about the library, is I'm trying to get books that I've never read the authors by, or if I'm like suspicious about the content, I will get it from the library or Libby. And then if I've already really liked the author before, I'm going to go ahead and support them and buy the book. So that's kind of what I did with this one. And I really thought I was going to like be obsessed with this from the get-go, because that's how My Dearest Darkest was. It was so intriguing from the start. This one's not. This one is following our main character Zoe, and we're also following her friends Celeste, Valeria, and Jasmine. Kind of light my face better. I'm using my computer screen with like a white screen on it to light my face better, which is why the light will go in and out. But this one, yeah, I really didn't know anything going into it, and I feel like that has actually been to my like detriment, because based on the cover, I thought it was going to be girls who were like killing people and selling body parts like that. That is not what this book is about. This is basically a zombie book, and I don't read those. I don't like those. I'm a little just like going into this. It's still like kind of interesting, but it's definitely like, where am I? I am at page 60, and I feel like nothing has happened. Basically, we just had to learn about the opening world, and we're getting a lot of flashbacks that I just like don't care about currently, because I don't know the characters enough to care about them. Like, I wish the flashbacks hadn't started until later, but she's using the flashbacks to explain the world, because we're in like a post-apocalyptic kind of thing. There was this like green cloud that descended upon the earth, and some people started getting really, really sick. Most of the population got better, like it was just a stomach bug, but some people started becoming these like monstrous things, basically zombies, and killing people. And so they found out that some people were getting like mutated by whatever this virus is, and so our main characters are some of the mutated girls, but we're past the point of like the opening of the apocalypse, and we're back to kind of like normal life. And it turns out that they've been making this stuff called sin flesh, which is synthetic flesh, obviously, and you buy it, and it's actually given to you by the government to keep everyone in this program. And the really cool thing is you like track so they're able to do whatever they want as long as they're in like this app, and they can track what they're eating, track where they are at all times, etc. So they know if there's like a violent outbreak, because they still have like violent tendencies, and when they eat, they like unhinge their jaws and their like fangs elongate. And if they have violent urges, they'll start to like change as well. And they're called hollowers. And it's interesting, and I like the world, but it's just dragging so much. And instead of like focusing on world building, it's definitely got that young adult issue of sometimes I don't like, where they're focusing on crushes immediately. And I'm just like, can we like focus on the world building first? The point of this is they are finally going on a like vacation. The four girls are going to Desert Bloom, which is basically Coachella, and they're bringing their like thing of sin flesh with them, and they have their own little cabin there, and they apparently stuff starts happening in the desert. Because after I was confused, like that I thought it was something totally different, I did read the synopsis. And it says that people start going missing, and they have to figure out who's targeting the hollowers. So I'm trying to get to that part, because I feel like once the mystery starts and the killing starts, that's when I'm going to start like caring about the characters more and what's going on. That's the part that I'm having the hardest part with. I'm going to continue reading this Delicious Death. It is super short, so I feel like this is a book that I want to kind of read quickly, because I feel like it's going to hopefully be a fast-moving book. That's kind of my plan, is to just read through this all day. That's kind of what I'm doing today, and yeah, I'll update you if I finish this book, or if I get to something interesting, or my opinion kind of changes. I don't know how I'm going to update this, because this is going to be spoiler free, because this is not like a single dedicated vlog kind of thing. So yeah, I'm gonna try to keep it as spoiler free as possible. So I'm not finished the book yet, but I wanted to give a more like succinct update where I'm kind of like more put together, more kind of like thinking about what's going on in this book, and more overall like, hey, this is what's actually going on. Because when I was reading it, I was just like, oh, what is happening? What's going on? So I feel like I needed to come downstairs to actually like put my thoughts together, get like actually dressed for the day, do things, because I started reading this at like 8 this morning, and that's really early for me. So most of the time I never have a good thought in my head at that point. So like I said earlier, I'm reading This Delicious Death. I am at page 131. I'm about to start chapter 11. This book is only like 280 pages, so I'm almost halfway through. I'm almost halfway through? Yeah, I think I have like 10 pages until I'm about halfway. I don't know how I feel about this book because I don't know. I really like, I thought this would be like a slam dunk, but because of like my preconceived notions of it, then reading the synopsis and the book still not really being like the synopsis, I'm very confused what the author was going for, and it's written significantly different than My Dearest Darkest. So this is the other book by the same author, and the way this one was written is what I was expecting like this to be written. This one's like a dark academia, eerie, what's going on, it's not super obvious what's happening, it's kind of weird, and the romances in the book are very subtle but like still angsty, so it works as like a young adult book. This one, the like whole focus feels like the main character Zoe's obsession with her friend and possibly a new boy, and I'm just like, I don't know, it's written so, I feel like it's written in the perspective of like a 15-year-old who's obsessed with getting in a relationship and stuff like that. So I don't love how young it's reading for those parts, because the other parts are like kind of gruesome. So I don't, it's just confusing me. And the turns that it's taking is very weird, and I'm not like, I don't know, I don't think I'm enjoying it, but then the little section I just read finally like kind of made me more interested in it, but I'm still just like not invested in the story at all. And if I'm not invested halfway in, that's not a great sign. Like, I still want to know what's going on, even though I'm pretty sure I know what's going on, so I'll continue reading it. But if there was no intrigue in this at all, which it's quite low, I probably would have DNF'd this by now, because I don't see this being higher than a 3 at this point. But it's taken a very weird turn, and I feel like the back of this book is really misleading, to be honest. So the very last like section says, on the first night of the festival, Val goes feral and ends up killing and eating a boy in one of the bands. That happens. As other festival guests start disappearing around them, the girls soon discover someone is targeting people like them. They can't figure out how to stop it, and soon no one at the festival is getting out alive. Okay, so that sounds misleading. Like that sounds like the girls are hollowers. So that makes it sound like someone is gonna be like a slasher book where someone is killing other hollowers, and there's like a lot of people who are hollowers at this festival. That's not what's happening. The killing is separate from the targeting of the hollow people. So I'm trying to explain it in a way that wouldn't like give spoilers away, but it's not really spoilers, because it's what it's hinted at. It's just done in a way where it kind of tricks you into thinking this is like a slasher kind of thing. So far, this far into it, it really hasn't focused on the missing partygoers at all. It is literally, so yeah, I'm almost halfway through, and they just showed a police report, people talking about missing people halfway in. So this is not like an immediate slasher kind of thing going on, and it's not a slasher at all. So what's actually happening, there's like this thing that's happening that's causing the hollow people to go feral, and that's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to solve. And then the other plot line is the partygoers going missing. So someone is targeting the hollow people, what are they, the hollowers, hollow people, whatever. Someone's targeting them separately from what's going on with the partygoers going missing. So that, I feel like that was really misleading. So yeah, it's not exactly what it says it is. I'm just bored. Like, nothing's happening. Like, they killed the boy, but it took them like 60 pages to do that. And then that was maybe like half a chapter, and now they're just like wallowing about it. But now they finally started going into like the mystery a little bit of like why they went feral, and that's starting to get interesting. And I feel like we're finally getting into like what's happening to the other party goers, because again, the girls aren't really part of that at all. They're dealing with like their own stuff, and we're kind of seeing partiers going missing from like a third-hand rumor kind of thing going on right now. So and I'm pretty sure I know like what's happening. I feel like it's really obvious to the reader, because it's like the reader knows, because the reader knows all the information that's going on, because it's doing police reports, it's doing these like news articles, and it's giving you flashbacks into when the hollowing first happened. So I feel like you know just like so much more than the girls. So it's really frustrating actually knowing way more than them, and them reacting to stuff in a way that you're like, no, it's okay. So yeah, I'm just really frustrated with this book. So I think, I mean, I'm gonna finish it. I think I'm just gonna sit down, like I'm downstairs now, and I'm gonna make some, it's 11:30, I'm gonna make some brunch, I guess, because I just haven't eaten. I was just trying to slog through this and it's just taking me forever. So I'm gonna make some food, and then I think I'm just gonna sit down here in the library and just like try and get through this, because I don't think it should take me that much longer if I just sit and focus and I don't do anything else. Because what I have been doing this morning was listening to or watching YouTube videos. I was catching up on some booktube content because I absolutely love watching booktube and content. So yeah, that's kind of the plans, and that's pretty much it for today. Okay, so I finished this delicious stuff. I actually finished it a lot faster than I thought I was going to, which is really cool. I'm sorry if you can hear my dishwasher. Thing runs for forever, so I couldn't wait to update. But yeah, I finished it. It's about 278 pages, and I don't know how I feel about it. I'm like really torn, because I actually thought the end action sequence, the end horror sequence, was really good. Like, I feel like if the rest of the book had some of that tension and some of that horror in it that I was expecting, it would have been so good. But because most of the book I felt like was a pining romance, like I feel like that was most of the focus of the book, which it just didn't work for me. I'm not a big fan of like friends to lovers kind of thing. I don't like pre-established relationships really, like especially when it's not supposed to be the focus. Like, I just feel like the romance wasn't written super well. I did like it by the end, but I still didn't buy it as much as I did in her previous book. I liked the romance much more in my darkest dearest. I liked it much better in that one compared to this one, because it was so pre-established. You're basically told they had feelings, like our main girl had feelings for her, and you just had to buy into it. So I don't love that. That is not my favorite. So I definitely took it down a lot, especially because the pining was really annoying and felt very childish. I feel like I've already talked about how childish I felt it was, but it just felt so childish. And like the actual horror sections were really good. So I'm kind of torn on that. I think I'm giving it a 3.5. I think I'm gonna give it 3.5, which is a half a star higher than I thought I was going to rate it, which is exciting. The ending was just really well done. So I'm happy about that. Now, what I really want to start is something that came in the mail yesterday, and it kind of fits the escape-a-thon theme and being more like thriller horror, because that's what I wanted to read this month. I'm probably gonna start Lying in the Deep, which I'm really excited about. So that's kind of my plans, and that's what I'm gonna do. So we'll see what I get to, and I'll update you kind of what I decide to read. So it is pretty late tonight. I really needed to update this morning, but didn't want to because I am very upset about this. I've been reading this since yesterday nonstop, and I did finish this morning. And yeah, I didn't update because I wanted to give it a chance. And if I had updated at 50 pages when I wanted to, I would have convinced myself to DNF it. If I had given an update at 100 pages, I would have talked about how terrible the characters were, how they were all so boring and cliche, and they acted like they were 13 and they're supposed to be 20, which was brutal. brutal to read. And I would have said that 90% of this book is just going to be about our main character complaining that her boyfriend dumped her. And it was so much, so much. And then if I had updated 150 pages, I would have been like, oh, this is kind of getting sort of interesting. I still think I know what's going to happen, but it's getting a little interesting. If I had updated at 200 pages, I would have said, oh, just kidding. It's actually the dumbest thing I've ever read, because they are making the dumbest decisions. I thought it was finally going to get good once like one of the murders happened, because it's supposed to be like murder spree going on a enclosed ship, because they're going on like a classes abroad kind of thing, like a semester. It's basically a semester, but I think it's like during the whole summer. And her boyfriend had just broken up with her, and they show up with this new girlfriend who also was her best friend, and murders happen while they're on the thing. That's pretty much the whole book. And like the decision making is so bad. It's so bad. The romance is not good. It's like almost insta-lovey and really stupid. It's so bad. So anyway, yeah, if I updated at any point while reading this, I would have DNF'd it on the spot, except at the 150 mark. At the 150 mark, I was like, oh, it's getting a little better. But I finished it. The ending was ridiculous. It was like the ending was ridiculous. I like the twist a little bit, but generally I don't like it. I don't think it was done very well. The end was just stupid. And yeah, this got a 1 star. I think I only have 2 1 stars this year, and this is one of them. Okay, it's Sunday morning. I've had a little time to calm down after reading that last book. So I am going to be starting The Lake House. I am nervous for this one because it doesn't have like great ratings. This is like a 3.6 something, but it looks... This was going to be one I was going to get from the library as well, but I literally can't with this cover. It is stunning. It's just absolutely stunning. It's even like cooler like in person than the pictures or video can get it, because there's so many like subtleties, and the artwork is stunning, and there's just so much going on right now. So all I know is we're following our main character, who's super paranoid. She's definitely, what it sounds like, because I have not started it yet, definitely sounds like she's gonna give off final girl support group main character energy, where that girl's super paranoid, super overprepared. That's what kind of she seems like, but nothing bad has happened to her yet, unlike that book. But yeah, then she shows up at some cabin, and I think it's like burned down, and there's her and one other girl, and then they realize they're being stalked by something, and it won't let them go. So very excited. It's giving horror thriller vibes. I thought it was just gonna be a thriller, but after reading the synopsis again, it's definitely got some, like, it's trying to make you feel, I feel like, that it's got some supernatural in there. So I'm very interested how it's gonna do that. I'm very, very interested. Okay, so I'm 83 pages into this. Anytime I film here. Hi. Come here. So I am 83 pages into this. Look at that little face. Okay, I'll try not to block him, because I know some of you will just watch some of these videos just to see him. Okay, 83 pages into The Lake House. I have a better idea of what this is about. I also think that this author is doing something that they think is really sneaky, but is like, it's one of those endings where the author thinks they're like really doing something, like where there's no way anyone could possibly guess this. And I'm sitting here going, I feel like most people could guess what's happening. It's a good twist ending, but if that's really what it is, it was a little too obvious, because there's like certain things that characters are saying and like points that the characters are making that I'm like, it's getting drilled too hard into the audience. If that's a red herring and that isn't the ending at all, like what I'm thinking, impressive. Or I don't know, I also could just be thinking way too hard into this. So anyway, I'm just bored. I'm bored. It has kind of turned into a survival story, which I wasn't expecting, because it's marketed as a mystery thriller. So I'm not really expecting a survival story. So I hope we go more into a thrillery chase mystery thing going on and not just 300 pages of them trying to survive and feeling like something's chasing them, because that's pretty much what's happening right now. So none of this is spoilery. Why do you keep moving? You're making this hard for me. All their parents want them to go to this exclusive like summer camp thing. So it's a 3-month summer camp on a very isolated lake house situation thing going on. The lake, it's like a 45-minute boat ride at full speed to get there. And so swimming is not an option, but it's our main character, Claire, and two other late arrivals, Reva and Mariana. And like Mariana is she's very smart, but she puts on this like kind of super girly, doesn't know anything vibe, but she actually is pretty smart. She's also a panicker. She's not used to wilderness, etc. Then you have Reva, who is like, she knows stuff. She's seen things. She used to be like an MMA fighter or something. So that's her. And then you have our main character, Claire, who is... I'm interested to see about this character because it's another one of those books where the author isn't labeling where they are on the spectrum, but this character is definitely reading ADHD, autistic almost, but she has she definitely has panic disorder. She's overly prepared all the time. She counts. She's very orderly in what she does. So she is somewhere on the spectrum, but they're not like they're not addressing what it is. But it does sound like the parents aren't getting her help. They're kind of just like hovering and like being obsessed with her. And apparently her grandfather is also the same way. She has major social anxiety. She can't deal with even like small talk with strangers. So she's impressed with herself that she's talking to these two girls. And basically all their parents had a different reason for sending them to this lake house, to get experiences, and they're really gonna learn something. And then they come upon the lake house and it has been burned down. Not a spoiler, it's what's in there already. And they're kind of stuck there because the boat has already left and now they're figuring out how to survive, and they feel like somebody's watching them and there's some stuff going on because pretty early on, like, you open up with finding something and it kind of sets off their paranoia and their need to do certain things and survive a certain way. So that's kind of where we are. They're just going through survival mode and trying to figure out their next plan. And I'm bored. I am interested where this is going, but I am bored. And I'm really hoping it picks up because this cover's so good. It's so pretty. So I really, really hope it picks up and I start enjoying it more, but it is a fast read. I was surprised when I opened this morning and I was already at chapter 7, which starts page 84. I was really surprised how far I had gotten. So that's kind of my update. I'm actually really sad I'm not reading this in the dark. I am like 40 pages past where I was before. I'm at page like 112. I am freaking out. I angered the book gods by saying that it was boring. Oh my god. I still think I'm right about the end, but I don't care at this point. This book has me legitimately freaking out. There's a section that's taking place in the dark, and like one of my biggest fears is the dark. And I kind of wish I was reading it in the dark because I would be having a straight up meltdown right now, which I already am a little bit. I am like so tense feeling right now. I'm stressed and I'm loving it. And I'm so excited that this kind of like, yeah, picked up immediately. So, oh my gosh, if there are sections of like survival between these really intense sequences, I'm gonna love the book. I just can't have like an entire book of just survivalists. This is like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm gonna continue reading. I just wanted to pause really fast because I am shocked how much it picked up in this little section. We have come to the end of this reading vlog because I have finished The Lake House. Thank goodness. This gets a 4-star. This was a huge surprise. When I go back and edit the sections of this, I'm gonna feel like an idiot because the whole thing that I thought was happening was a red herring, probably didn't even exist except inside my head, and this went in a direction that I was like, I was not expecting at all. This is a horror book. Glad I finally figured that out. This is like a survival, paranormal, horror mystery. I don't know. I had everything in it. I honestly, now I get why the rating was so low. I feel like all horror books that are young adult, and even like regular horror, get low ratings. So this has like a 3.6. That's just what all horror books get, except unless it's like a super, super, super like big author or release. But even then, sometimes they get pretty low ratings. People just are weird about horror. I can see why people don't like this one, because when the paranormal stuff started and the horror actually started, I was like, wait, what? Wait, what? My mind had to like adjust, but it's definitely in there. Like, it definitely hints that there's some weird stuff going on, and I just wasn't expecting like what it was. When it was kind of revealed, I was I was just so shocked. Oh man, it was so good. It was so good. So yeah, 4-star. I really, really enjoyed this one. This has saved the vlog in my opinion. I could not put this book down. It was so good once I got to a certain point. I definitely think my boredom early on was because at this point I was just expecting it to be bad because of my less than stellar experience reading the past two. Because even though I gave This Delicious Death a 3.5, I was still really bored and like didn't love the rest of the book. There were just some really good horror aspects in it, and I kind of like how it ended. But this took out romance stuff and just went this like survival horror thing, and I was like, thank goodness. And I really think that's what ruined the previous two books. The thing that both of these books had in common was a really poorly written romance. Like, it's just not good. The romance in these kind of just derails the whole storyline. I feel like if there was no romance in this, it would have been a lot better, but it probably wouldn't have made that much sense. If there was a better done romance in this one, again, it would have been better. This was an issue with romance writing, I think. Now I'm starting to feel better now about, because I was really starting to think like, do I like young adult thriller, mystery, horror anymore? The answer is yes. Just not these two to an extent. Like this one, obviously I hated. I really, really didn't like this one. I still enjoyed this one. The romance was really not that great, and again, I feel like it really distracted from the point of the book, and I feel like it was misleading. That's my other thing. I feel like this book was pretty misleading. I still enjoy the horror aspects of it. I just wish I understood what was going on better from the beginning, because even going into it blind, it was still, I don't know how to explain how I feel about this one, but it was no My Dearest Darkest. It was definitely no My Dearest Darkest. That definitely is way better than this one. At 3.5, I still had a good time for some of it. Lying in the Deep, 1-star. I hated this book. Really sad I didn't like it. I'm really disappointed with this author because I expected a lot better like of a twist in this book, and it's something that's been done 1,000 times. And the big surprise, and honestly the one I'm the happiest that I liked, because this is my favorite cover in the group, and this is a 4-star, and I really, really enjoyed this. This was so much fun. I would highly recommend this one to anyone who likes young adult horror. This is my caveat, as usual. If you like adult horror, you're probably not gonna like this because it's too juvenile, but if you like young adult and you like horror, I would give this one a shot. This was fun. Just get past the initial, like there's, like the opening is really good, and then there's probably like a 40-page slow slog, and then it like kicks off. So I definitely say try this one out. Out of all of them in this video, I would say try this one. So that's kind of my recommendation. Had a great time. I'm so excited. I liked a book in this vlog. So anyway, that's all I got for you guys, and that is what I read. Brand new releases. Not sure how I feel about everything as a whole. I feel like it was mostly a miss as a whole, except for the lake house, and of course the lake house was the one I was unsure about. It figures. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys in this vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to see more content. Make sure you leave a comment down below what you thought about the books, if you read them, if you want to read any of them, and that's all I got for you guys. So I'll see you guys in the next one.